What's the plan for your goaltenders tonight?
We're going to split. Seagull's is going to start. Larson's going to go the second half.
Just housekeeping. The team announced Joel Blomqvist day-to-day. Was that an injury in practice or the game the other night? You know, when that might have happened?
Yeah, he went out to start today, and then, it's indicated there, or as it was posted there, day-to-day.
And Noel Acciari, I think that was the first time in a group activity, at least for him. Any change in status for him?
No, this is just the next step. Yeah, no, so this is where the hope. I know Kyle spoke on it there as we opened up training camp. This is the next step, and just continue to take it day at a time.
What does Vilicueva need to do to not only make the team out of camp but stick around? I know he did some really good things here in March and April.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back. The same thing with a lot of these guys. It's like you got to keep finding a way to impact. Find a way to impact the game. Find a way there to carve out a role. Find a way to for them to show how they can just make a positive impact on a regular basis, and the consistency behind that. And so there's a lot of great things that he's done. It's just now it's showing on a consistent basis. And he had that opportunity at the end of the season last year. And I've gone back and I watched it. And it's he did a really good job. And now here we are. It's a training camp. It's the beginning of the year. It's about making that impact. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, even though I will sometimes. But that's what it is. It's like these guys. It's showing what that you can do to help this team. And that the answer, what that actually is for each person, it's going to be a little bit different.
What specifically stood out when you watched those games with him?
I think for him, like, is the poise that he has with the puck, the confidence of the puck, his ability to find that next play, to extend plays, making plays in tight area. He was doing that a lot last year. I think a lot of that, just the awareness, from an offensive standpoint, just the awareness there that you need to have, to know what that option is, especially in tight spaces, getting pucks off the wall, finding the next play from there. On the defensive side, I think, he is a guy that was, especially watching those later games when he's in the NHL, like he was working away from the puck and, in the defensive zone, like showing detail, block shots. I mean, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but I can think watching back, like some of those that really stood out even from the games that he had when he played at the end of the season. And so it's combining all those things and showing that, that you can make an impact at both ends of the ice. And like I said, I thought, go back, I thought he did a good job with that last year. Now here we are, training camp. It's a new day, and it's continuing for him to just, like all these guys, just continuing to show this is what I can do, and I can do it on a consistent basis. This is what I can do to help the team win, and I can do it on a consistent basis. And that's what training camp's for, to be able to show those things.
Sometimes it seems like players are, if you think of themselves as center icemen, and then you ask, can you play the wing? And they go, oh yeah, I can play there. And, sometimes it's not really the case that they're not that's good there, but they say that because they don't want to, make you think that they wouldn't be interested in doing whatever it takes to play. Do you know what I mean? So how do you balance that with kind of, if there's not room for a guy in the middle, but you think he can play the wing, but can he or can't he? That kind of thing. Sometimes it's not as clear cut as the player makes you think that it is.
No, I agree. There's definitely differences. I mean, I think a lot of guys, not all, but a lot of guys have, over their careers, they've probably played, some other positions than the ones that, you would consider are most natural to them. I've found that everybody's different when it comes to that. Like, there are some guys where the adjustments, really easy. It's like, so going from, I think when you go from center to wing, it's easier, but there's guys too that, have done it the other way. And a lot of times those guys have had some experience in the past. And I think it's also just kind of sometimes if that's what you want to do and see, you got to stick to it a little bit. Like, it's like if you, sometimes those cases that you're referring to where it's, it's maybe one game and then that's it. Like, those can be, I don't know if that's a true evaluation or a true feel. Like, if sometimes you're adjusting and putting guys in situations that they haven't been in a while, you got to give it a little bit of time just to see how it goes.
Hollander said it's been a while since he's played center. Do you see him as more of a center or wing at this point?
Still going through the evaluation process with him. Like with all these guys, it's I think there's a lot of guys that have played a little bit of both, and it's just getting an opportunity to see guys in some different positions and see what's most what the right fit could be. I mean, versatility is good. And not everybody has it, but it is a good thing. It's when guys can have that too. And I know as a coach, when okay, you can feel comfortable that they've been doing it and they've shown that versatility in the past. It is a nice thing to have.
Dan, what are your impressions of Caleb Jones so far?
Yeah. My first impressions were, I think off to a really good start of camp, but it's early, and I will on this one too also just reference with a lot of these guys in this camp, in training camp, where we're only, still not too far into it. Like, I'm not going to go into crazy detail on too many guys because it's training camp. Guys are here to earn a job. They're here to, they're working, and I think this group is working hard for that. We're trying to put together, a lot of things, a lot of new things within the team, within the way we want to play, working to build out an identity we want to play with, while at the same time giving players an opportunity to really show themselves. And so to come in and to go maybe over the top in regards to evaluation of a certain player, I really don't know if that's the right message today on anybody. And so on a lot of these guys, I probably will be a little bit quick on some things because, and I do probably have a lot more thoughts than I'm currently sharing, but that's on purpose. Like, we're in the middle of training camp where guys are working hard here to earn a spot. And so I don't want any mixed messages, from anything that we're telling them. But in regards to Caleb, I think he's a guy who's really, the skating really stands out. He's moving pucks well. He's a guy who, he can close, he can take away time and space. He can find that next play when there's an opportunity to join, he can join. And I think make an impact, at both ends of the ice that way. And so he's done a good job showing that to this point, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in some game action.
Tristan Rose has talked about wanting to add a stronger defensive component to his game, develop that part of his game. Any level of hockey he's been at, he's been a pretty consistent scorer. In your history as a from the development side of things, what's the challenge of helping a guy figure out a more well-rounded game when he could do, like, say, offensive things pretty well, but trying to figure out the defensive side of things? What's the challenge there?
Yeah. There's always a balance, it's always a balance. And so there's a lot of clear-cut situations in the game where we're clearly on offense. And so, like, we're on the attack. And then there's a lot of times where it's very clear, clearly on defense. And so everybody should be back. A lot of times with players that maybe they have a little bit more of an offensive mindset, it's more the in-between that you got to figure out. Because, it's like, sometimes, the terms that get used a lot with us is, you have anticipation. We all love anticipation. And then on the flip side, people say, you can't cheat the game, you can't cheat the game. Sometimes it kind of looks the same. It's those moments, like, are you calling it anticipation? That's where offensive players sometimes, it's a fine line that they're always trying to balance of, like, when to go and, like, or when do you need to be back on 50-50 pucks, on pucks that are in question. And so I think it's helping players kind of, like, define those lines and when to go. And at the same time, like, for offensive players, like, we want them to keep their instincts. Like, we want them to be able to think the game from an offensive standpoint. But, you still have to know when to toe that line, in that kind of that gray area of the game in transition. And a lot of times I feel like with players that think the game a little bit more offensively, it's just trying to find that balance. And it's doing it while you're still not, losing the offensive part of the game, because I think with him, like, as you indicated, like, that's been a big part of his identity as a player, as being a guy who can help create offense. And on that note too, as you go from one level to the next too, it's also finding within, sometimes there is a little bit of a different role that you're being asked to play, and so it's sometimes you're redefining the game. And I'm not saying with him that that's something we're looking at. This is just a general observation on offensive players there, and kind of how they can, maybe work in on some of the details on the defensive side.
Kyle went out and added some guys like Alexiev, Brazeau, some others that have size. What's the importance of size, do you think, in today's NHL? I mean, there's always that idea, if you have a big team, you're going to be tough, but the game's a lot more nuanced and detailed than that. How do you value size in any way, shape, or form with the league today?
I mean, I think it plays a factor for sure, but there's smaller guys that you maybe consider on the smaller size in the league that are outstanding defenders, and they're great in transition, and they're great on breakouts, and because of that, if you're great at that, you're not defending as much. You know, I think it's definitely, it plays a role. But, you know, would I come out here and say, like, you have to have it? No, I mean, everybody's built differently. Like, you got some guys that would be on that, considered on the average size, in this locker room too. They're, very good defenders as well. I think with all things, it's always about finding the right balance. It's the right balance for your group. I don't know if you want too much of just one thing. It's finding, the best balance and what's going to be the best fit.